The first day of a brand new high-speed Amtrak line ends in disaster. Several dead, dozens injured, and those numbers could climb. 2 cars are still too dangerous to search. Now the investigation is in the hands of the NTSB.
Matt? Where's the train relative
Right there.
to us?
Now at 4 o'clock, a live look at Sky King. The devastation is immense. Nearly 12 hours after that high-speed train derailed and toppled onto Interstate 5, southbound 5 at Mounds Road has now been shut down all day, and authorities don't know when it will reopen. Amtrak says there were 77 passengers and 7 crew on board at the time of that crash. Tonight, we know at least 6 people are dead and dozens of others are injured. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Wright.
And I'm Amanda Grace. We're live on the scene of this tragedy. You can actually see this train right behind us, and of course the freeway in behind us as well. We're awaiting an update from authorities any moment now. Our Chris Daniels is over there. We're going to be checking with him in just a moment. This was the inaugural run of this train, the very first train leaving from Seattle to Portland on this particular run. Let's head over to Chris Daniels and get an update from this news conference about to begin. Chris.
Yeah, Mark and Amanda, we are waiting on that press conference from the Washington State Patrol. We are told that Amtrak and the head of the Washington State Patrol, John Batiste, will be here to answer questions about this train derailment and also the future of Interstate 5. We have seen heavy machinery now move into place in the southbound lanes to potentially move forward and take care of that train as it still continues to hang over Interstate 5. But the one thing we know at this hour, it's indeed been a dark day in this region's history. The pictures tell a story this afternoon that still has plenty of unknowns. Amtrak 501 was on its inaugural run from Seattle to Portland when at 7:33 it abruptly stopped.
I need EMS ASAP. It looks like they're already starting to show up.
Hey guys, what happened?
We were coming around the corner to take the bridge over I-5 there, right north of Nisqually, and we went on the ground.
Is everybody okay?
I'm still figuring that out. We got cars everywhere and down onto the highway.
That the emergency call to dispatchers. 12 cars derailed, one hanging over I-5, yet another on the freeway itself, all during the morning commute. Rescue crews pulled survivors and bodies from the wreckage.
There are some casualties.
The train was on a brand new stretch of track in a slight turn over I-5. An online record show was traveling near 80 miles an hour prior to the derailment. Can you say whether this train was going too fast for this turn?
I can tell you that it's being investigated by NTSB, and anything beyond that right now until their findings are out is pure speculation.
Late this afternoon, Amtrak tried to quell reports of what went wrong.
Has Amtrak been told anything about an obstruction on the tracks?
It is under investigation by the NTSB.
But they are now the lingering questions about a route which never officially completed its first run. And we are now back live here as we are preparing now for a press conference with the Washington State Patrol, local fire crews, first responders. I can see them just off camera now attempting to walk over. We are told the head of the Washington State Patrol will also be over here to talk about the interstate. One of the things we should talk about as we continue to wait for this is traffic. This is going to be a big issue in the hours, and we don't know yet whether days to come. We have heard from the State Patrol that one of the things they're advising drivers to do is to head west on Highway 16 over to Highway 3 to get around this area here on Interstate 5. That will take you just south of Olympia and get you around this Nisqually River Delta area. If you have lived in Western Washington for any period of time, you know this is a difficult area to navigate. And here we go now with this press conference with some of the leaders of this response here. I'm going to try and duck in for you.
I'm Larry Creekmore with the City of Dupont Fire Department, the fire chief. I was one of the original arriving units this morning. We arrived and found a large-scale incident involving passenger rail cars, as well as cars on I-5 heading south. We conducted triage of the incident. We performed extrication using the jaws of life to remove the injured. There are 3 confirmed fatalities that we know of, and we transported over 100 patients. This time I'll turn over to Jay Summerlin, who will talk about some of the operational issues.
Hey everyone, my name is Jay Summerlin. I'm a battalion chief with West Pierce Fire and Rescue. One of the things I want you to realize is that those rail cars being on the side of the freeway like that, dangling off the overpass, very precarious, very dangerous for the fire service to do rescue. We had firefighters putting themselves in a very dangerous place, and they did a great job of searching all of those cars. Two of the things that I want to really have you guys understand is it took a lot of extrication tools. It wasn't easy for the firefighters to get through. They were using jaws of life, they were using air chisels and different forms of saws to be able to get into some of the crushed cars to get access to people and get them out. Some of the rescues were done by ladders. It was just a difficult place to be. In the sense of hazardous materials, I was one of the hazardous materials technicians on the scene from Pierce County Hazardous Incident Team. In the locomotive, the car directly behind the locomotive is called a power car. It has 350 gallons of diesel fuel, and that was leaking into some dirt area. The Department of Ecology, along with Amtrak, are currently working on a long-term mitigation plan on how to retrieve all of that fluid. And that's going to take them a little while to complete that. In the sense of all the patients that were transported, we opened up our protocols for disaster medicine, and we transported everybody to local hospitals. And that is about all I have at this time.
Could you give us your name again, sir?
Jay Summerlin, S-U-M-E-R-L-I-N.
You know, you say the name of the person you're going to use there as the tabletops. Does anything prepare you for something like this? Have you ever seen?
I've been to other train derailments in the area. The other Amtrak train and University place I was at, that call also. We have a few other speakers, and then we'll ask.
We'll bring them back forward. Who are you with? Can you say the name of the department? Chief Batiste, West Pierce.
Here now with Chief Batiste coming to the microphones.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Batiste.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, at approximately 7:37 this morning, the Washington State Patrol began to receive 911 calls about a major derailment here in South Pierce County affecting Interstate 5. Upon our arrival, it was a very complex situation. From the beginning until now, we've been working very closely with our friends from the Washington State Department of Transportation, Amtrak, and a number of others. We're waiting for the arrival of NSTB, so in anticipation of their arrival, we've been conducting some preliminary investigation. We've worked with our partners in DOT to establish alternative routes to getting south here, and that all seems to be going well. So at this point, we're going to wait until the National Transportation Safety Board arrives, and then we'll continue to work alongside them in whatever capacity that they feel that they have a need for us.
Chief, is this going to be an hours-long, days-long closure?
That's yet to be determined. Of course, we have cranes that are arriving to help us stabilize and remove cars, and then from there, DOT will have to get in and inspect the bridge to make sure that it's safe, as well as the road bed. And we'll have a better idea at that point as to how long we can anticipate before we can actually open up Interstate 5.
Chief, there is talk of bodies, about 6 people might have been killed and maybe more. Are there other corpses to be extricated here?
Of course, we don't have confirmation on that as of yet. The Pierce County Medical Examiner was on scene earlier and has been working with fire personnel, as you've probably been updated by the fire chief, to get into that in terms of extraction and recovery. You know, I want to offer my condolences to all of the families that have been affected by this. It's an unfortunate situation, but we're doing everything we can to assist folks in any way possible.
But more of your questions can be directed towards Trooper Bova back here. Okay, but this one is for the chief. For years, you spent your life worrying about airports and airplanes.
Yes.
And now you have a train disaster. You've seen it. Does anything prepare you to see what you saw up there?
Well, it's pretty, it's a very unfortunate situation. I mean, I've seen a multitude of things in my career with the State Patrol. And each incident is a sad situation in and of itself, and of course this has some uniquenesses. But yes, a very tragic situation.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
David, just want to reiterate that this is a collaborative effort right now. State Patrol Criminal Investigations Division, they have finished scanning the area. At this point, they have passed on the investigation to the other law enforcement agencies that are in the area. Once those departments are finished with their investigations, then we can really start working on the stabilization of those cars that are in little precarious spots. As for detours, again, we just really want to reiterate, if you're north, then please, and you want to head south, take State Route 16 to State Route 3. If you're in this area, please take the detour that's set up to go through Center Drive over through the base. Right now, traffic, it doesn't seem that there's a huge backup right now, so we really just would like people, if you could delay your travel plans, or if you can please adhere to those traffic detours, that would be great. And again, if you're northbound, please don't exit, just keep going northbound at this time. Any questions?
Can you update us on casualties, please?
We have been told that there are 3 casualties at this time.
And has there been any update on the speed at the curve and the speed at the time of the derailment?
I don't know anything about that, I'm sorry.
Are they all train passengers?
I'm sorry.
All train passengers, not vehicle passengers?
I don't know. I believe they're all train passengers.
You said casualties. Was that 3 dead? And then he also mentioned hundreds or over 100 transported. Can you just
roughly 100 were transported to local area hospitals.
And 3 dead.
And 3 dead, yes. They've all been searched at this time.
Okay.
And the NTSB, you said in the last press briefing they were here, but
NTSB is here. Yes.
Is here.
Has everyone been accounted for at this point?
I'm sorry?
Has everyone been accounted for? Everybody who might have been involved?
I don't know. I'm sorry. That would have to be diverted to Amtrak.
Can you say if the people who died were passengers or crew members?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Did you say NTSB is here?
Yes, NTSB is here.
When you said that all cars have been searched at this time?
That's what I'm told, yes.
Can you comment on who was in control of the train at the time of the derailment? Was it a single conductor?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know that.
Has the conductor been interviewed yet?
I don't know that either. I'm sorry.
When do you anticipate opening up the road?
We're anticipating that that's going to probably go well into the night, possibly into the morning commute. So we're asking people to please plan for that. If you can telecommute tomorrow morning, that would be great. Again, we are anticipating this could possibly go into the morning commute time.
Is there any reason to expect that number 3 may go up?
We do have some that are critically injured that were transported. So at this time, we haven't had any updates.
But nothing here at the scene, I think this gets to the point of what they're all asking. Nothing here at the scene would lead you to believe that number 3 would go up.
We can't answer that at this time. Again, there's a lot of critical injuries, and so we won't know until we get updates from the hospitals.
But you mentioned being able to sit right here.
Right now, what we do know is we know for sure that there are 3, and I know that there have been some conflicting reports about that. You need to understand that this is a very complex scene. We have multiple agencies on here, and first reports, when we're hearing different reports, we want to confirm that that number is indeed accurate or not accurate when we do our count, and we are confirming 3 at this time.
You mentioned having searched all the cars on the highway. Have you searched the dangling?
I'm sorry?
You mentioned having searched all the cars on the highway. Have you searched the dangling cars for bodies at this point?
I have been told that all cars, including rail cars, have been searched.
Do you know anything about the type of the train cars? I had read something about the cars were relatively new, just ordered from Spain.
I don't know anything about that. You'll have to get all train information from Amtrak.
At this time, I think I'd like to bring fire back in, and so you can ask them some questions.
So any questions for fire?
Is there a possibility that we might have people who have not been found yet in any of these cars, or are there bodies that you've not been able to reach that still need to be extricated?
During the investigation, they'll find where the 3 deceased are at and do further looking.
They're still at
The number 3 you're going on is a match to a manifest number of people you believe that were on the train given to you by Amtrak, subtracted the number of people who were transported or walked away.
There were early numbers from media that there were a lot more fatalities, so we were doing our due diligence to look at that number compared to what we knew, and that's why it's taken us so long to get there. So we're still working through that process because of those numbers.
There were still people on the train?
I don't know where the fatalities are at.
You've been able to search all of the cars, including the dangling car?
All the cars have been searched by fire.
What can you say about the injuries of people who were the motorists below?
I can't. I have no information on the types of injuries.
Is that what's responsible for the difference, though? I mean, we have about 84 people on the train by itself. We have 77 passengers and 7 crews. Are we looking at then the remainder being made up of people who are injured now?
I don't know where all of the injured people or fatalities took place at the
Did we
incident.
see injuries in cars that weren't directly struck by the train, but the pile-up vehicles?
I am not aware of any. That would be something Washington State Patrol could answer
How
for
many
you.
train cars ended up on Interstate 5? And where did the others end up?
There's a locomotive that I know of that's on Interstate 5 and one car that I'm aware of that I personally saw. There could be another, but I'm not sure. Most of them are in the dirt to the side of the freeway.
One of the train locomotives appeared to be a DOT one. Do you know where that one came from?
No, I do not.
Can you speak to on a personal level? Can you speak to the fact that you train for this all the time to actually have to, you and your colleagues actually have to spring into action and respond to something like this? The personal level for you and your colleagues on a day like today.
You know, it's shocking, just like anybody else. It's actually kind of surreal. You look at it. We do training in something like this where train cars are precariously dangling over a freeway. That's something that we do tabletops on, and everybody comes in usually going, "Oh, that's not going to happen." Well, here we are. It's exactly what happened. So I'm glad we trained to that level, worst case, because today was one of those days.
How'd you guys do?
Did well. Did really well. My hat goes off to JBLM Fire for taking the initial command and bringing in all the resources they need to handle this.
Can you introduce yourself as well?
My name's Jay Summerlin. I'm a battalion chief with West Pierce Fire and Rescue. Summerlin. J-A-Y.
Okay, we'll take one more question for the chief here.
Can you talk about the diesel spill again?
The diesel spill, it's a power car. Right behind the locomotive is a power car that does all the power for all the passenger cars that are there. Had 350 gallons of fuel maximum in its tank, and it has spilled into the dirt area next to I-5. And so currently Amtrak, along with the Department of Ecology, which I called them very early on in this incident, they are doing a mitigation plan as we speak.
These particular tracks, what other trains now does this back up? Is it Bijou's?
That's something you're going to have to talk to Amtrak about. I don't know their flow path. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take any last minute questions before we head out?
I just wanted to reiterate, you had mentioned earlier to prepare for the morning commute. People should prepare for the morning commute. So that sounds like this is something that's not going to be cleared by tonight.
We're anticipating this could possibly go into the morning commute hours, yes. Yes.
Are you planning any more briefings?
We are. We don't have a time set up, but it should be within the next couple of hours.
Same location?
Somewhere in the same location, yes.
Same people, or do you expect the NTSB to speak this evening?
I don't know at this time. Mostly, yes, there will be definitely a representative from State Patrol. Again, we really want to just quell all the rumors, and if any of you guys, if you don't hear it from State Patrol or myself or another State Patrol spokesperson, please just contact us and we will make sure to give you the correct information. There's a lot of rumors out there, and we want to just, especially for the families and for these passengers, we want to make sure that we're giving accurate information and that we're not reporting anything inaccurate, please.
Do you know anything about the ages of the victims? Were there any children involved?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
So we try to extricate ourselves from this. I think we just had a significant update from the Washington State Patrol. Right now they have confirmed 3 fatalities from the train derailment, and also are saying that folks need to prepare for the morning commute for a closure here on Interstate 5. For now, let's send it back to you.
All right, Chris Daniels, thank you. And I want to show you guys at home just what we're dealing with behind us here. This is the southbound lane, and you can see a massive amount of heavy equipment is being moved into place. I'm not sure if you can see it too well, but right in the middle of the screen, just to the right and below that bright white light down, there's a massive crane that they'll be using to try to get these train cars off that overpass. And Amanda, this is just a surreal scene to be standing here looking at what looks like toy trains just tossed all off the overpass there.
Surreal is the right word for it. It's hard to believe that this happened, and you imagine the force at which this train was traveling and the fear of the passengers inside and the drivers on I-5 going south.